A long bushfire edition of the Midday report. The Prime Minister and senior cabinet ministers are staying in Victoria to assess what's needed. And in Canberra, the tragedy has brought Parliament to a halt. Question time and the fierce debate over the government's $42 billion economic stimulus plan have been put on hold to allow condolences to be heard.
Touched by tragedy.
Yeah, this is horrific. I've got a brother that lives around the King Lake area. Thank goodness he's okay.
Politics has been swept aside and replaced with an outpouring of sympathy for the firestorm victims.
Our hearts go out to the families and loved ones of people who have lost their lives.
Whatever we can do to help, we will put aside partisan politics. That is the number one job for this week.
With the Prime Minister in Victoria, Parliament's focus is also squarely on the bushfire-ravaged state, as well as flood-affected Queensland. Some MPs are on standby to rush home.
The conditions in Corangamite, like the rest of Victoria, are very dry. Of course, I'm monitoring the conditions there.
For those still in Canberra, question time has been adjourned, and in its place will be rolling condolence motions.
Parliament will sit, but it will sit in a respectful way.
It'll be a time for reflection, but the Attorney-General says it's also a time to review the advice given to people about whether to defend their property or evacuate.
We really do need to look at our early warning systems, whether those early warning systems are adequate and whether they can be enhanced on a national basis.
One MP is turning the heat on governments. Wilson Tuckey has accused both Labor and Liberal leaders of failing to prepare for the threat of bushfires.
Governments who choose to lock up these forests and, as I've said, treat them with benign contempt, will others pay the penalty.
There are also calls for some of the money in the government's $42 billion stimulus plan to be redirected to rebuilding fire-devastated communities. For now, any Senate debate about the plan has been delayed. The previously urgent Senate inquiry has been deferred until later this afternoon.
On a day like today, the hurly-burly of politics seems trivial, even petty in comparison.
This should bind us all together and, it's a pity, I suppose, that same binding together shouldn't come when we're trying to rescue the financial crisis.
But the economy will have to wait. Susan McDonald, ABC News, Canberra.
Well, there'll be a lot of people today wondering what their insurance policy covers and how they go about making a claim. Kerry Kelly is from the Insurance Council of Australia. Kerry Kelly, have you any idea at this early stage just how many claims you're likely to face?
It's just far too early to tell. One of the issues is that the police and the CFA have not opened up quite a lot of areas, so